The CEO of independent U.S. refiner PBF Energy Incorporated, Tom Nimbley, considers the possibility of a seismic shift in the high-sulfur bunker fuel market and believes coking capacity to be valuable to the company once the new spec takes effect. PBF also said that some refineries without coking capacity that use medium sour crudes may not be economically viable after 2020 because high-sulfur fuel oil demand will plummet. According to OPEC's World Oil Outlook 2017, over 1 million barrels per day of coking and visbreaking capacity will be added between 2017 and 2022, with the new IMO spec being the main driver behind coking and visbreaking additions as refineries around the world aim to minimize fuel oil output. According to delegates at the World Refining Association conference in Athens, Greece on November 14, 2017, the 0.5% sulfur spec for global bunker fuel will drive investments in refining capacity to the end of the decade. According to the delegates, crude distillation capacity was expected to grow 8%, coking capacity by 35%, and hydrocracking capacity by 37% from the 2012 level. The consultancy Facts Global Energy predicted that complex refineries with bottom-of-the-barrel and hydrocracking capacity will benefit the most from the IMO spec, as heavy, high-sulfur crude prices are expected to decline and diesel cracks are poised to strengthen once the new spec goes into effect. Giacomo Romeo of Macquarie Capital expects 200,000 barrels per day of additional coker capacity to start up in the next 3 years in Europe in anticipation of the new spec. This chart shows the trend of total coking, both delayed and fluid, capacity installed in the U.S. from January 1, 1997 to January 1, 2017. The arrival of light tight oil, with less bottom residual fraction, in the U.S. has apparently dampened the requirement and installation of cokers in the country. According to the record, U.S. coking capacity was about 1.32 million barrels per day at the end of 1996 and had been growing since then. However, the rate started to level off in 2013, resulting in little growth between January 2014 at about 2.77 million barrels per day and January 2017 at about 2.81 million barrels per day. In the U.S., delayed coking capacity increased from 1.9 million barrels per stream day in 2000 to 2.8 million barrels per stream day in 2017, according to U.S. EIA data. This uptick in delayed coking capacity has allowed U.S. refineries to reduce average fuel oil output from 4.1% of total refinery output in 2009 to just 2.5% in 2018. Operators that add high-sulfur fuel oil to their coker feed slate will likely shift to sweeter crude inputs for balance. According to Gary Devenish of the energy consultancy Baker & O'Brien, the increased processing of domestic tight oil by refineries in the U.S. Gulf Coast could allow more of the excess high-sulfur fuel oil to be routed to excess coking and hydrocracking capacity for further processing, with the potential of up to 850,000 barrels per day of excess coking and hydrocracking capacity materializing in the U.S. Gulf Coast. In the latest news regarding coking units in the U.S., PBF Energy Incorporated could restart an idled 9,000 barrel per day coker at its 190,000 barrel per day Chalmette, Louisiana refinery if conditions around the new IMO spec warrant it. Valero plans to maintain its 2018 capex at $2.7 billion, with part of this investment including the addition of a second delayed coking unit with a capacity of 100,000 barrels per day at its 335,000 barrel per day Port Arthur, Texas refinery. U.S. refiners can benefit greatly from added coking capacity as it allows refiners to take advantage of the better spreads offered by processing Canadian crude. In 2012, Sinclair Oil added coking and hydrocracking capacity at its Rawlins refinery in Sinclair, Wyoming to allow for the processing of Canadian barrels. It also boosted overall throughput by 6,000 barrels per day to 85,000 barrels per day. 6 of the 15 refineries in PADD 4 now have coking capacity that facilitates the processing of heavy Canadian crudes. However, using cokers creates a significant amount of petcoke, and processes such as resid hydrocracking that eliminate petcoke byproduct can be very expensive. U.S. export of petcoke to India has been challenged by India's petroleum and natural gas minister over environmental concerns. In Latin America, Mexican state-owned Pemex has chosen Japanese firm Mitsui as its partner in building a coker to process its heavy Maya crude. Pemex has already invested $1.24 billion in a coker project at its 315,000 barrel per day Tula refinery. The new coker will allow fuel oil to be processed and should boost gasoline production by 40%. Mitsui expects completion of construction in 2021. ExxonMobil will start operating a delayed coker in the first half of 2018 at its Antwerp refinery in Belgium. The unit will use high-sulfur fuel oil feeds to produce the 2020 IMO bunker fuel, as well as other varieties of diesel. Construction is expected to be complete in early 2018, but startup may take several months. Repsol's head of refining, Francisco Vasquez, said that his company has installed 5 cokers at its 4 refineries to reduce the yield of fuel oil to close to zero. In the Commonwealth of Independent States and Eastern Europe, a number of companies have added coker units to refineries. Some notable instances include Gazprom Neft adding a 13.4 thousand barrel per day coker to its Pančevo refinery in Serbia, making it the first refinery to produce coke in Serbia. Grupa Lotos has installed a 2-drum unit at its refinery in Poland as part of its new deep conversion complex, which also includes cokered naphtha hydrotreating, hydrogen generation, and Hydrowax vacuum distillation units. Lukoil will license Chevron Lummus Global's delayed coking technology for a new 14.1 thousand barrel per day unit being built as part of the deep conversion complex at its refinery in Kostova City, central Russia. The Russian government has implemented programs that invest in technology that lowers output of low-quality products, such as fuel oil and vacuum gas oil, and increases production of high-quality products, such as diesel and gasoline. In 2011, the Russian government introduced a plan to install 120 refinery upgrading units, including cokers. As of 2017, 180,000 barrels per day of coking capacity has been added. The Russian government also created a $55 billion program to boost diesel and gasoline make to at least 80% while cutting fuel oil production to 20% or lower. Refiners in the Middle East and Asia are also putting cokers into their operations. In Oman, Duqm Refinery and Petrochemical Industries will start up its $7 billion Duqm Refinery in 2021 with 52,000 barrels per day of delayed coking capacity. An additional 143,000 barrels per day of delayed coking capacity will be started up by 2022, divided among 4 planned refineries in Turkey, Egypt, China, and Brunei. Moreover, companies in China, India, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and South Korea plan to either expand existing coking capacity or add new units. According to Energy Security Analysis President Sarah Emerson, new investments in coking and desulfurization units in Asia are likely to result in 1.2 million barrels per day of new demand for heavy and medium crudes in the region.